Hello and welcome to my video tutorial and my series that I'm covering the Microsoft Office suite, just part of the major tools that are used. Thank you for following along, and today in this part I would like to talk about one of my favorite Microsoft Office tools, and that is called Microsoft PowerPoint. This is one of the most highly used tools of the Microsoft Office suite. PowerPoint is a simple but very powerful slideshow presentation program that makes it pretty easy to create, to collaborate, and present those ideas you have in ways that are dynamically appealing for a visual emphasis, which is much less than what we have in documents with all the text that can be there. We seem to lose interest pretty quickly. So if we want to get our point across in a visual way that we can capture and maintain our audience's focus, we use slideshow presentation software, Microsoft PowerPoint, and in this video I will be using Microsoft PowerPoint 2016. And when you've created your slideshow to present to your audience, to get your message to your audience, it's going to be displayed whether it be on a tablet, their phone, personal computer, or if you're in a conference, on some type of projection system for everyone to be able to view. When we use presentation software such as Microsoft PowerPoint here, the presentation is actually called a slideshow, so you will hear the terms used synonymously. And like I said, this will help deliver a dynamic, professional looking message to your intended audience. Microsoft gives us this great presentation software to allow us to create and enhance presentations by producing slides to use in a different type of environment, whether it's academic, business, or even personal environment. We have this tool available to us. Now, this collection of these slides that we create, you might hear this term. This collection is called a deck, which you could think of a deck of cards and how you stack on top of each other. As your slides are lined up, that is kind of like a deck of cards, one right after the other, each having their own intended message. So we use our presentation software. Our main use is just to enhance our oral presentation to our audience. You as a speaker might desire to send or convey some type of information to a group, and you want them to understand what you are needing from them, or what you need for them to take away from your oral presentation. And having this visual enhancement is going to help trigger things in their mind as well as keep their interest. When you're creating your PowerPoint slides, they should reinforce whatever you as a speaker, your message is, and help the audience retain that information that you are presenting. That is just a communication process. You have the sender, the message, and the receiver. If the message isn't received well, they're not going to retain and get all the information that you're trying and want them to take away. Just like when you're creating a document with Microsoft Word, with Microsoft PowerPoint, you can customize your slides, or you can think of them as individual documents, but you don't want a lot of text on your presentation slides. So you can fit your specific needs and contain such things as tables on a slide, pictures, charts, different shapes. You can have a lot of the same tools you saw in Microsoft Word. You are going to see those in PowerPoint as well as you're going to use some animation effects as well as transitional effects to make your presentation much more effective rather than just plain text on a sheet or on a document. Another great thing of this is you can have some accompanying handouts that you can give to whoever your audience members are, so that they can use those as reference notes as well as a review of the material that you've presented to them. Well, let's take a look at what PowerPoint looks like. And as I said, I'm using PowerPoint 2016. Use the same process as you would go to open up any application on your computer. I'm using a Windows 10 computer, so I simply could either just go down to the Start button and scroll through my available applications, or I could type PowerPoint, or maybe I even have a shortcut on my taskbar to be able to launch PowerPoint, just like you can with Microsoft Word or any other application. Once you click it to open, you're going to be presented with the start screen, just like you would see in Excel or Word or another Office tool. So they're very streamlined and very seamless in how you can jump from one application to another. And here, if you followed my lessons on Word, you'll see we're presented with any recent presentations I've used, as well as I've got a group of templates over here, as well as lots that I can choose from online by simply typing in what I'm looking for and get some pre-designed templates that I can use, so I'm not starting from scratch. But if you want, you can always start with a blank presentation. So when you're ready to get started, if you don't want to start with a blank, you can always select and change a document theme and its variant once you've selected a theme. Once you have that, every presentation should have a minimum of your title slide and the slide that you're going to use as your outro. Or you may hear this called your end slide or closing slide. You may hear many different terms being used. And even when you select one of these themes, once you've got one selected and you're in and creating your slides, you can add new slides. They're not static. You can change the slide layouts. You have lots of different layouts to choose from. The themes just go ahead and kind of streamline the process and give you something to start with. Once you're in your presentation, you can insert photos, different illustrations into your slides. You can create placeholders. Once you put a picture in, you can move and resize those, just like you can do in Word documentation or word processing software. You can simply bring those skills right in from Microsoft Word right to Microsoft PowerPoint, such as, if you've got a font you might like that isn't in the template, change it. You can change the font size and the color of the fonts. You can, of course, use bold and italicized text. One thing that's really great is once you have a slide created, if you want to use that same slide layout, just simply duplicate the slide. That's a great tool. You can, when you have your presentation and you're working on it, let's say you have 20, 30 slides, it's very simple to rearrange those slides. We'll take a look at that as well. And then you can set slide transitions so that you are going when you're moving from one content to another, it's a visual cue that, hey, I'm going to something else. And you just make sure you're not using too many different types of transitions. You don't want to have too much distraction from the content and the message that you're trying to get over. We'll also take a look at viewing our presentation in slideshow view, and that will be where your whole screen is just the message you're sending. There's nothing else that's going to be on yours, like a start button on your, the taskbar at the bottom of your screen, the clock, none of that. Only the information that you have that's on that slide is what the viewers or the audience is going to see on the screen, and that's what you want to do. Like I said, you could start with a blank presentation, and I'll do that for looks here, and this is what you have. You'll notice that you have the ribbon up here, you have your quick access toolbar, you have your minimize, maximize, and close buttons, what you're used to seeing when you're working with the Microsoft Office tools. We're not going to jump to it yet, but you also have a button here on our quick access toolbar so that you can start your slideshow presentation from the very beginning to see what you're working with, or if your presentation is ready to deliver to your audience and you're getting ready to speak, simply click the button and you will see that is exactly what happens. The screen gets taken over. The only thing you see is what is on that slide. Simply hit escape to get out of that, or you have some navigational buttons down here to advance your slides. You can mark on your slides. Lots to do. You'll get comfortable with using those, but for me, I'm just going to end the show. And that will bring me right back to the slide that I was showing to my audience. But you'll notice the ribbon looks very similar to what you saw in Microsoft Word. We do have other options because we weren't using transitions and animations, but we will go over those. So you could start with something very simple like this and do a little bit of work, and you'll see that you can create something very dynamic. Here's a quick example of just a quick little presentation of, and you can see I've got multiple slides here, and here you can see I've got a shape that I inserted an image into, and that's the background. Now it's taken it's filled in the shape with the picture, and I did that here as well. So something very dynamic, much better than what you would find on like a basic word processing document. And I've got another slide here created where I've got two different columns that I'm using. I've got here, I've created something very visual to where I can create some emphasis on different areas. Like here, it's like, oh, I have 19 certifications. I have 25 years experience, 10 years in the teaching environment, 20 different areas of instruction. So you can put lots of information and just focus on those. So while you're presenting, while you're talking, the main points are jumping out. And of course, if you've noticed this group here, this is just some information of dummy text that people use for taking up space just to show people. And that's what I did here. And you can see, just like with Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint has the spelling and grammar checking built into it. So here we've got a misspelled word. We know that because, oh, we've seen this before in other Microsoft products. It's got a red line there. If I just right click on that, oh, okay, that's what I meant to put, and it will automatically fix it for me when I select the correct word. If I want, let's say I have my name in here and it doesn't recognize my name, I could have just right clicked and added that to the dictionary so that it will ignore that, or I can just choose to ignore all versions of that. You can see here we've got another visual jump out here where we're talking about the Microsoft Office Specialist certifications that you can get to help prove that you know what you're doing in the different Microsoft Office tools, so that you are going into the workforce and there's not going to be a learning curve to teach you how to create a presentation, because you already know that. And you can see I can duplicate my slides, so I'm going to have a lot less work. So very simply, if I wanted to duplicate this slide here, or let's say I had another slide, some more information, data that I wanted to present, select the slide, go up here to the clipboard group on the Home tab, and I drop down the copy, and I can either copy this or I can just duplicate it. If I duplicate it, it's going to be right there. You can see these look exactly alike. I can jump back and forth. Now I can just go in and change the verbiage. I can change the numbers, what the areas of subject I want to discuss are. Very simple. I don't have to start from scratch. I don't have to go up and hit insert and put in a new text box, but I can if I want. I can just put, this is something new, and now it's there. And then I can move that around. Let's say I want to add a little emphasis. I could change the angle, so we can add much more visual appeal. I can fill in this shape with it selected. Let's say I want to make that a very light version of that blue, so a blue accent one that's been lightened 80%, which follows along with the purple theme here. I can do that. Let's say I want to add an image. I can insert an image just like I can in Microsoft Word. And I can do an online search. I can do one that I've got saved locally. Whatever I want to do. We have the same tools, a lot of the same tools that we see in some of the other Microsoft Office tools as part of that Microsoft Office suite. So lots we can do to make it visually enhancing. And like I said, you can start your slideshow here. There's lots of different ways you can start your slideshow. You can add notes. There's speaker notes that only you will see unless you print off your presentation to give for some note sheets to your audience. But if you add notes here and you're in that presentation mode, you will see on wherever your main screen is, you will see those notes that you left for yourself to make sure you hit all the points, but your audience will not see that. They will only see what is in this area here. You also notice that, like with this one, I have this area that tells me what slides I have. I'm on slide 4 of I have 34 slides in this presentation. I can show or not show my notes to the group. If I want to put some comments in here, I can do that. Which view do I want to look at? This is the normal view that you will usually probably work with in creating your slides, putting the content in there. There's also a slide sorter view, which I'm a big fan of. Let's say like with this one, I have 34 slides. If I click on this one, I will have different views of all of my slides, and I can move them around. If I wanted to move this one before the other one, there it is. I can simply drag and drop. If I want to go into the reading view, just like with Microsoft Word, I have that. If I want to jump to my slideshow, and let's just say I'll start here, but I can start on any one, and I hit slideshow button down here, just like with starting from new, but this one is going to start on whatever slide I'm at, and there is my show. I can hit the escape button. Let's say I wanted to start on this slide instead. Now if I go up to my start from beginning button, that won't work. I will go all the way to the beginning, but here I can jump down, just click slideshow, and I'm going to start on that slide. Once you're done, you can just escape out and you'll be done with that. Back to my blank presentation that I created. I'm started with one slide, this title slide here. I said there are lots of different layouts you can choose from, and you'll see up here on the Home tab here on the ribbon. If we go over to the Slides group and I go to the layout tool here, drop that down, you will see I have lots of different layouts. I have the title slide, which this one has. Remember, I said you should always have a title slide. Let's say I don't like that. I wanted to change it to a title only. I don't need a subtitle. I can change it just like that. Just click on it. Let's say we're going to want to have an image or something in there. Let's say I've got my title and I'm going to add content, so I could type in, title page. And then I wanted to add, a chart. Or let's say you want to create a table of information, even though a title page should probably not have a table. But you could do a smart art graphic showing like your transition, or let's say we're going to use a process. And we want to say that we're going to have a start to finish. We're going to use this continuous block process. Hit OK. There it is. Now I can go in and put my text in. Start, middle, and let's say we'll do end. Now I've got a graphic on here. Obviously this is just a generic one I'm doing for demonstration purposes. But if I want to change it, I can. You see I have different smart art styles, so I can apply that. You can see this looks a little bit better visually with the design of these rather than just flat one-dimensional squares. It looks a little bit better. I could add more. I could add a shape, and I could do it before or after. Can have different levels. Lots of options you have. You can see here in my smart art styles, I can do a drop down here, and we could even give it more of a 3D type feel. So you just toy around and see what feels best for you and what might be better for your intended audience. Like I said, I can change the theme colors here. Let's say I think that's a little bit better because I've got different colors, so things will pop out a little bit differently as I'm discussing them. But I've got my title slide. I want to add a new slide. You guessed it, new slide. And I can just put whatever I need. Maybe I'm going to have an image. I could do a blank slide here. And let's do an image. We'll do an insert tab up here. And we're going to do an online picture. And we'll give some thought as to what we might want to find. We're going to use the Bing search engine to do this. I could save them on my OneDrive and bring them in, but we'll just use the image because you have the difference between a picture that you have saved locally, or if you want to go out online and get one, and you can just simply insert it that way. Maybe you're a car fan, so you like a Porsche. You do your search for Porsche, let the software do all the work for you, find an image you like, and then just add it on just like you did in Microsoft Word, and you can do it here as well. Simply select it, insert it, and it will be applied. And here you can see, let's say I want to maximize that. I can just manipulate the picture using the handles, and now when I present, that is all that's being shown on the screen. And now there's a visual appeal, as well as the information I'm talking about will be shared with the audience, and maybe this image will be a great point that they'll remember what I talked about because of the image, because the two tied together with my overall message. And then I can just escape out of this and I'm back to my presentation. I can add more slides by simply going to the home group here and whatever slide I want to add. If I want to have more than one type of content, maybe I want to include an image of Porsche here, and over here I have a chart that shows the sales of certain Porsches over the last 3 years. And then those two tie together, and it's going to be relatable information for the audience to see, okay, this makes sense together. But let's create a different presentation. I can go up to the file group, new, and now I'm back to that start screen, and let's just say I can pick a theme that I like. Let's just take the vapor trail, select that. This is free, it's built in. You can buy templates as well, or as I said, you can go and search for online templates up here. And I could select this one. If I don't really like that, but I do want to make sure that you know there are different variants of this. So I can click it and create it, or I could click on one of the variants and that will be the one that I create. So if we want to do an online one, let's say we're going to do we want to look at a business type thing. We know we're in some type of business. What might be out there for me to be able to use it's a little bit different? Well, let's say I'm in the tech field, which I am. Then I could select that one, and I know that, hey, that's probably going to flow along with what I'm trying to do. Let's say I'm in the coffee business. Well, here are some beans. Let's select that one. I can see, oh, okay, this is great for a coffee shop or a retail business. Well, hey, that's me. So I can simply create that. You'll notice there are no variants on this one, but I'm just going to go ahead and select it anyway. And you can see this template has lots for me to choose from. You can see that I have all these slides here, and I don't have to start from scratch. I'm like, oh, you know what? I do want to talk a little bit about the market and some of the requirements about getting into the industry. Or on my title slide, I'm like, you know what? This is nice. I don't have any better picture than this, and this is exactly what I want to capture. And now I can go in and manipulate it. May I want to say, let's say my company's name is Shaka Coffee Delights. And maybe I don't like this. Maybe I want to put my coffee logo here. And we'll just delete that. It's gone. And you see that, oh, it says, what about subtitle? Well, I could leave that, but it's not, since there's not any information here, it's not going to show when I present. But if I wanted to insert my logo here, I could. I could insert, and I could do a picture for my logo, put it there, and it's there. Now let's say you want to do something a little different and you want to add something to this. You can. I can add, go up here to home, put a blank template in there. Oh, there it is. I've got a new slide. There's nothing there. And I can go one step further. I can change the background. I could go and do a pattern fill, maybe a gradient fill. May I just change the overall color? Or let's say I want to put a picture in. Let's do that. I'm going to select a picture that I have that I want to put in here. So I go to picture or text file after I've right clicked and changed my background. I hit file. Now it goes naturally to your pictures folder for your default settings here. And I'm going to select this cup of Joe. I'm going to hit insert. Now my background is that image. And if I go to present, it's very clear. You can see I've got a 4K type image here, so it's going to be very appealing. You can even see the reflection from the saucer. That type of stuff will make your presentation much more effective. So you can customize your backgrounds even if you're using a template. And don't worry if your image doesn't look right. You'll notice you have some settings here in which the image is offset, and you can adjust these as needed. You can see I've got a -6% here, and if I lower or raise that number, you'll see that there's changes to it. And here's where you'll see that difference. So if I hit the slideshow, now I've got this block of white slide here. That's not very good. But if you're going to put something up there, you might need that. But I can change this however I want, and I'm going to take that back down. I don't want that in there. I could shift this left or right. Let's say we're going to inset that. We could go to the right there on our left offset. I can increase that, and you can see that kind of widens the image, and you can even see your changes to know if it's going to be effective or not by always going in and starting your slideshow. You can also use zoom features just like you can in Microsoft Word. Down here at the bottom right, I can move that in or out to know how it's going to look like and see give me more room for viewing while I'm working. If I want to apply this, I can apply this, and I can apply it to every single image or every single slide. There's some things you will do that with, like if you're starting your template page, you could do that. If you're going to have like a logo down here or whatever the case may be, you want that on every slide, and you want your logo on the bottom right, create that and then apply it to all of your slides. So lots that you can do with formatting your background. When you're done, you want to have more workspace, close that, and now, as I said, you can grab the zoom toolbar here, and now I can see my whole slide as I'm navigating back and forth, so I kind of have a good feeling how to move things around, how it's going to look without jumping in to my slideshow. Let's take a look at one of our slides here. Let's just use the one we just created. Now let's say we want to add some content to it. Well, what would we like to insert? Let's insert an area that I can work with. So let's create a text box, and I can draw this text box however I want, however big I want. Now say menu. Alright, now let's say we could create as many text boxes as we want, or images. If I want to add some items here, let's say, I don't know, we'll say breakfast, lunch, dinner, and let's say we're going to have some other items listed there. Let's say for breakfast we have different types. We'll say dark roast, medium blend, and let's say we've got some special varieties. We can always go back and let Microsoft fix that for us. And if we wanted to, we could have this as a bulleted list. It's all up to you. So I've got this here, and let's say I want to add some bullets. It's just like Microsoft Word. I go up to my paragraph group here on the Home tab, drop this down, select what I want to use. Let's say I like that. I don't really like that, but just for demonstration purposes, you can do that. Let's say we want to get this group a little bit more emphasis. Tab that in. Here are my bullet points. Now I've created a text slide here with a multi-level bulleted list, and I can add onto this anywhere I want. So that's just a quick example of how we can incorporate some of the word processing functions into our presentation as well. And always when you're working with a presentation, think about font size and font type. So in your font group, select those fonts you think are best. And you can see I've got the box selected. So if I select the text box and I want to see what it's going to look like with a different font, I can do that very easily. I'm kind of covering it here, but if it was over here, my text box was over here, I'd be able to see it much easier. But make sure you're using a font that's going to be easily read by those that you're presenting to, and the size makes a big difference if they're going to be able to read it. If your conference room is several hundred feet and you've got a 300-inch projection screen, make sure that person in the back is going to be able to see this. And then see what your work's going to look like by going to your presentation and doing the slideshow. I can see on my screens that it looks pretty good. Before I give a presentation, I want to make sure to go through my slides before the presentation and look from different angles and depths in the room to make sure that the audience is going to be able to receive my intended message by being able to visually see and read my presentation. I know that's a lot of information getting you started on the presentation software that Microsoft provides us in their Microsoft Office suite, but I hope you find that it's great to just poke around in the software and see what the different features do for you, as well as take some of the examples I've provided you and create those on your own and see how you can use all the variations and all of the addition of all the different powerful tools that we've covered today, and come up with something on your own so that you can get the skill set that you need that's used every day in the workforce in using all the Office software for different applications in the workforce. Thank you for following along this video. I hope you found this information helpful and that you continue to follow along in my tutorial series as we continue to go through some of the different Microsoft Office tools that are part of the Office suite. Thanks for following along, everyone, and enjoy your practice.